Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Reconsider, Read Some Literature with Jade
and Antoinette.
Amazing. Welcome back, friends. We're on chapter 7 and 8. This is just breezing right on by, and I think we're starting to get into a good hearty brisket of the story, the big meat. You know what I'm saying? How do you feel about this, Antoinette, where we're at?
Meat and potatoes. We're here. We're getting there. We've arrived, I think. We've arrived. We're chugging along, and it's like, oh.
Yeah,
I even text you.
You
remember?
did.
I said, did you remember? Then I was like, she didn't read it. Okay, I'll wait.
And then when I read it, I said, well, I did not, actually.
I did not remember what had happened in this chapter 7.
Well, I think that we shall get into the plot of chapter 7. What say you?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I have my notes here because there was a lot of plot. So I'm going to look off so I can reference my notes. But chapter 7 was juicy. So we start with Winter still doing stupid shit. Still buying clothes she can't afford, still being worried about her image and all the wrong things when there's just chaos all around her. She is only really, I think she only has $1,500 to her name at this point. Yeah. And she's still
$1,480 to be exact.
$1,480. And she's still shopping around, like getting an outfit ready to meet up with Midnight to try to figure out like the master plan.
Yeah.
And like, this dude is not worried about you, little girl, but it's cool, whatever.
No.
So her grand plan is to meet up with Midnight. Apparently there's $50K that he's supposed to have of Santiago's money. And so she's like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. Midnight's going to be down and out. So he's going to be looking for money. So I'm going to flip this with him. He's going to want to work with me. And in the meantime, in between time, he's going to fall in love with me. And we're going to live happily ever after. And somehow this $50K is going to pay for all the court fees, her lifestyle. It's just like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? But that's her grand plan.
She thinks she's going to be Louis from Snowfall.
Yeah. Like, Louis has way more sense than Winter.
Let me tell you something. We're not even, you know what? That's not what we're here for.
That's not what we're here for. But Winter is currently staying with Sterling, who is the quote-unquote sugar daddy, but he's not really a sugar daddy because he really doesn't have that much money. She even said that he only has $500, $300 to $500 a week to spare to spend on her. But she's staying with him.
Sweet and low, Poppy.
Sweet and low. Shout out to him. But I'm sorry, if somebody was giving me, well, my standards, but $300 a week, I'd be like, oh, thank you. I'd be hyped. But listen, I would be hyped, like, oh, thanks. But for her, it's not enough. So she's staying with Sterling, using him. And then Mama finally gets out of jail. And Mama, she's like, she just chalks it up and is like, okay, I got to stay with my sisters. They took her kids. She's trying to figure out where the hell her kids are. Mama's just ready to fight everybody. She's ready to curse everybody out. And she still is just like, Santiago is going to take care of all of this. It's fine. We'll be fine. So then we find out that not only are the kids in custody of the state, but that they are all split up. So the twins are split up. Portia's split up. They're all in different boroughs. And they're looking for Winter because Winter is not 18 years old yet. So they finally make it to the lawyers to discuss the severity of Santiago's charges. And they are severe. He is charged with everything from murder to, I mean, what did they say? Fraud, extortion,
fraud, racketeering, murder, everything.
They threw the book at this boy. They was like, got him.
Did.
And then he breaks down the legal fees, and they obviously do not have enough. And, you know, lawyers, Mr. Goldstein, with his Jewish self, is like, cash rules everything around me.
Queens get the money.
Hello. So then Winter finally links up with Midnight, and he doesn't have the money yet. Trying to figure, so there's something fishy there. It's not fishy with Midnight, but something obviously happened. He's not giving Winter all the information. She's still being young and dumb and annoying. But basically, she links up with him, and he reveals that he wasn't even locked up because of like the federal investigation. He got locked up because he was at Moe's in Brooklyn. Shout out to Moe's. And he fought Slick Kid. Now, if we remember, Slick Kid was in previous chapters where Slick Kid and Bullet were who Winter and Natalie met up with for Winter's, that was her birthday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. On her birthday to have sex in Times Square Hotel. It's all on videotape. Well, basically, Slick Kid came back and showed his little excursion on the TV screen at Moe's. And Midnight obviously is like, and I don't even think Midnight fought him for Winter. They feel like Midnight fought him because like
for Santiago.
He works for her dad. It's disrespectful to that crew. And he has to like establish some sort of like
because the whole point was to get Santiago, right? Because Slick Kid bragged, this is Santiago's daughter. Look what I'm able to do.
So basically Winter didn't even realize, like, I don't know why she wouldn't have asked that when Natalie was talking about how Bullet was coming up in the game and how he had money now. She didn't even realize that she was sleeping with the opposition.
No, she had no clue. And she did not think to ask because Winter's brain be in one place and one place only, and that's on herself.
Yeah, like, I'm like, why wouldn't you be like, well, what crew is he with? But again, I think that she also walked around with a level of, we're heading off of plot, but we'll get back. She walked around with a bit of, like, she almost as if she was untouchable because Santiago was who he was. And now she has like this rude awakening.
Yeah, it's a very omnipotent kind of like arrogant attitude. Yes. Like nobody can touch me.
Yeah, and she's looking for Midnight to replace Santiago, that person in her life that's like, nobody's going to mess with me because this brother's here. So then Winter tries to hold Natalie accountable. Natalie is like more far gone than maybe Winter. Natalie's like, oh, don't even worry about it, girl. It ain't like we didn't look good on there. You know how many people on my top now that he did that. You good. So anyway, then Natalie starts asking questions about Santiago's case. Winter is at least hip to that and being like, okay, she just wants me for information because she's a gossip queen, bangs on her. So then so then we arrive to the part that I did not remember. Winter and Mama decide to go visit Santiago. Now, Santiago gave very specific instructions. Come visit me on X day. Mama was like, I'll go visit my husband whenever I want to go. I want to see him, point blank, period. They go to Rikers, and they're spending, it's not cheap to get up there, right? They're taking cabs and shit. She's dressed as best as she can be in her sister's clothes, and Winter's actually very embarrassed by her mom at this point.
I'm sorry. I was laughing. It's not funny. But
the way she describes it is funny, but it's sad. It's like,
very sad. But something about this wig was taking me down.
The wig, and then why does she keep saying that twisted mouth? I'm like, yo, Winter, you got
that is not the funny part. That is fucked up, actually.
The twisted mouth. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, you're going too far. Like, that's your mom. Her mom,
and she got shot in the face. She got attacked. Like, what's wrong with you?
She literally got shot in the face. You mad that her mouth is over to the left a little bit? Relax.
But that wig. She's like, now, when she was talking about that wig.
That blonde wig, child. I want to see it. She just, in my head, it was just like a prettier version of Puffy's mom.
I said it's giving me very Janice Combs.
Yeah,
in my mind.
That's all I could envision of like, it's either Janice Combs or like Lil' Kim when she was rocking the blonde. Because again, Mama's cute, so I give it more to like Lil' Kim. But with the crooked,
fair,
it might have shit. Anyway, this is problematic. So she's at Rikers and they, call out Santiago's name and a lady stands up to go see him that is holding a baby. And I was like, oh, I don't remember this. So come to find out that Santiago has a whole how old is she? 22-year-old Puerto Rican princess.
Mm-hmm.
At Rikers.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting to visit him with a child. Now, granted, Mama had her little altercation with the girl. And the girl was like, I don't want no beef. Obviously, you know, like, we not here for the same person.
She knew. She fell back. She fell back.
Yeah, she fell back because she understood her place.
Mm-hmm.
But Winter was like, oh, no, I'm hip. So Winter walked over, had her beef, saw that the little boy had a, you know, what is that bracelet? Nameplate bracelet, Santiago, Ricky Santiago Jr. Yikes. So,
Winter was and that brought, never mind. We'll talk.
No, we bring it up.
Winter was mad for multiple reasons. And that's
she had every right to be.
Right, absolutely. For the fact that she knew her father always wanted a son. So she was resentful in that way because she's the oldest. So she's like, oh. Then there was the shallow part that crept in as well. Because Winter was clocking the fashions and clocking what was happening with the calculations with money because of where they are right now. Well, that's her thing.
She's like, we're screwed up, but your side piece, nobody raided her house. They good. And it's obvious that they're good, which is valid. So anyway, Winter decides that she's not going to visit him that day. She's just like, I'm good, love. Mama gets out, rolls her eyes at, her name is Dulce?
Dulce,
I love myself. I just call her Dolce Gabbana. Dulce.
Anyway. Sweet.
Dulce, yeah, but I'm like American. So I'm like,
hey, like Dolce?
The nerve of me, the way I looks like I should know how to say her name. So anyway.
I did think that Antoinette was Dominican when I first met her.
I know. It's a mess over here.
I said, who is this loud Dominican girl? My God. But
whatever. So anyway, Winter's mom is like, oh, Santiago, she didn't even have beef with him. She still needs to, and she knows in her heart. She knows. But we'll get into that. But she basically just said that he said, people have the same last name in here. It's an easy mix up. Don't even worry about it, babe. Like, whatever. Okay. So mom's in denial. And then Winter, she confronts old girl, whatever. We already talked about that. Then Winter and Mama visit Portia, which was a small little scene, but it was an interesting one. Portia, of course, is furious, doesn't want to be where she's at. But I thought they end up fighting the, the social worker. Mm-hmm. And the way that they described them fighting the social worker was only in 2 sentences. And I think Sister Soldier's brilliant in that because she just tried to normalize it as much as possible. She didn't go into great detail. It was just like, and then they fought her, da-da-da-da-da, that's it. And it was just like...
Winter jumped in. Winter's like, I jumped in because that's what we do.
Right. And it was just like... We're just going to leave it there because this isn't a big deal in their world. This is what they do. So after that, Winter does meet up with Midnight again. He does not have the money. Mm-hmm. And he reveals that Santiago was double-crossed, obviously, because all the feds knew too much about what to raid, where to raid, how to raid. And so, he's just like, some dumb woman either talked or he was double-crossed by like a homie. But I ain't got the money, sis. Not only do I not have the money, your pop knows I don't have the money. And you got to go stay with your aunt in Brooklyn. It's safe now because everybody's locked up. Mm-hmm. And I'm out. I'm not staying here because there's nothing for me here but them to try to jam me up again. And here's this $3,000. And here's this business card for Sister Soldier. I know you don't like her, but she can help you. Deuces. That's chapter 7.
Child.
Chapter 8. What happened in chapter 8, girl?
So in chapter 8 is not as lengthy as chapter 7. Winter now has this very small chunk of change from Midnight, $3K. She doesn't want to let her mom knows how much she has because she know what her mom's going to do with the money. So she takes it and says she's going to go and find herself an apartment. Winter doesn't have any clue how reality works when it comes to finding apartments.
That was so sad.
It was so sad. She goes uptown.
Don't go into we're going to go into detail.
Oh, we're going to talk about it in the theme. Okay, great. Yeah. So she has no clue what she's doing, right? She's just going, thinking that she can give this cash over. Bang, bang, no lease, we out. So in the meantime, when she realizes that I don't have the means for this, I don't have the paperwork, I don't have the wherewithal to get an apartment right now, she concocts a plan that she's going to stay with Sterling even longer. So remember, Sterling is sweet and low. She goes back to Sterling's home to go, try to play him a little bit. And Sterling comes creeping from the back, tells her to keep her voice down because he's got company.
Winter, I yelled audibly.
I hollered. He was like, "You've got to go. It's been 2 weeks." So then, I don't know. The way Winter describes her, Nell Carter came ushering from the back.
Not Nell Carter.
That's how she made her seem like the frumpiest thing.
Oh my gosh. She said Nell Carter.
That's how she acted.
Good night, Jade. And if y'all don't know who Nell Carter is, y'all need to look up that queen. That is an icon. Well, go ahead. I hate you.
So she acts like Nell Carter, Florida Evans, whoever comes from the back. That's how she's describing this lady. And this is the lady that Sterling was dealing with the night that Winter called and he dissed her for. We find out that Sterling has lied to this woman, has convinced her that Winter is his cousin or niece. Cousin. And needed somewhere to stay. She is
his baby cousin.
Which, do you not feel like a dirt? Anyway, we'll get to that in the themes. So, finds out that she thinks that's the baby cousin, and she's asking her mad nosy questions. Winter is dismissing her, but she's got to go on about her business.
Mad nosy and disrespectful. She was shading that little girl.
She was shading her. And furthermore, if this is supposed to be my cousin, then you need to step in. But I'm going to talk about why that is so disturbing. So then Winter has to just suck it up and go back to Brooklyn, like Midnight said, and said that her Aunt B had a place for her, which is in the same development. So she goes to her Aunt B's house. Her Aunt B sends her back to the bedroom. She got a nigga there, so she's upset that Winter has interrupted her groove. She disturbed that groove. And she goes to hang with her homegirls. So they all surprise her. It's everybody. She's at Natalie's crib. They all show up. One of them is pregnant. And all of them are drinking Alizé and Hennessy. Idiots. So they're hanging out. They're being reckless. The thing that breaks up the party is that Natalie's mom comes home. She's not tripping on them, but a mom breaks up a party. Can't wait to be that. In the meantime, it's now turned into 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and Winter and her homegirl are going to walk home together. And she said, "These are not my words. These are crackhead hours." She's like, everybody, all the party goers are asleep. They passed out in their clothes, and the only people out are the ones on drugs. But interestingly enough, Winter runs into her mother during this hour as well, who is not looking very well. So then Winter is going to go out the next day with the homies, and that's when her homegirl tells her that Natalie is seeing somebody who's got a little money about themselves, and they're driving some hot yellow Land Rover, and that's what they're going to roll up to the concert with. So, of course, Winter, not wanting to be outdone, decides that they're going to rent a limo so that they can one-up Natalie. And she's only got $3,000 to her name.
Silly.
That's chapter 8.
Well.
Where shall we begin?
I would like to begin on page 77. I believe it would be everyone's page 77, but I'm not sure. But this is chapter 7, where we are actually talking to Mr. Goldstein, I believe. Mm-hmm. And Winter is asking him what her father's being charged with. He says everything, you name it. Santiago is being accused of it. Conspiracy, murder, weapons, money laundering, tax evasion, that. Mm-hmm. Winter said in her head, "It was ridiculous to me. People don't understand Santiago's world. It's business. Nobody kept the drug dealer's business in check but the dealer himself and the team he set up. There has to be punishment for those within the team who test too much and step out of line. There has to be punishment for outsiders who attack the business. Violations have to be responded to. Otherwise, the business don't flow correctly and people try to take advantage. They shouldn't be able to barge in our business, they being the feds and the government. They shouldn't be able to barge into our business and force their rules on us. Not when Santiago knew his workers better than anybody from the outside. Everybody in this game understood what he was dealing with. Nobody forced them into this business. They understood the risks. Besides, the drug dealers helped America to be rich. If it wasn't for us, who would buy the fly cars, butter leathers, and the jewelry? We put so much money into circulation, more than them little nickel and dime paying taxpayers. We employed half the men in the ghetto. Nobody else gave them jobs, so why be a hater? The way I underlined that, I was like, wow, that is layered.
It's very layered.
That is layered, and points were made.
They were. Because it's a system. It is a system that's set up.
It's a system. It's a system that's set up. And and the one thing that she failed to mention that helps the economy is also these drug dealers being locked up. Yep. Right? Mr. Goldstein makes his money off of dealing with these cases. My shirt. All prisons are for profit.
They are.
I ain't even playing this. This is just who I am. So I'm just saying, like, she made points, but then you have it's the snowfall conversation. Then you have to decide, what is it all worth, though? Like, is capitalism worth all that? Is it worth what's happening to the environment, to the community, to, like, people do know what they're getting into. Mm-hmm. So should we stay out of it? Should we legalize? I mean, I think back to The Wire when they legalized drugs and how the community. Sorry if anybody didn't watch The Wire, you should.
Girl, ain't no spoilers in 2021.
I know, it's like, come on. But the community was better off for it, with it being isolated into
because
that area.
It's not trying to about obliterating people's usage. It's about mitigating it, and it's about trying to help people to put some parameters around it so that they can find some sort of balance. You can't tell people that they can't have vices. Am I telling people to smoke crack? No, but it's. Listen, I'm gonna be real with you, and this is not me advocating for crack. Let's be very clear here. The internet likes to run with things. But I have known one or two social crack users in my life. They are older men who I knew when I was younger. I've also known full-blown drug addicts, right, who have fallen into the system. But I've known social ones. I knew a man who was a mailman by day, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends, he did his business. So sometimes,
but the vast majority of people, that ruins their life.
Of course it does. But going back to this,
of people,
it's a giant cycle because, like you said, you've got the government who's involved, who funds a lot of this. And then again, points were made where this is helping whole families within the community where nobody else on the outside will give them a job. They won't give them a job at a bodega. They won't give them a job at a gas station. So you've got somebody who is funding families, but then at the same time, this is tearing down the community. So it's a really multi-layered thing, but it's all set up for white supremacy to win. Because like you said, these attorneys have these fees that they're able to charge out the ass. Who has $75K laying around right now to be able to go do that? Any average person. And then on top of that, like you said, the prisons are for profit. And then on top of that, you've got restitution when people get out. They owe the government $80K and $100K. How the hell are they going to pay that off when they can't even get any damn jobs, which then perpetuates the same cycle?
Hello. Which is exactly why Midnight said he's never going back. He said he would rather die. He said if they come for him, then it's just going to be a shootout and he's gone. Then go back into that system.
I get it.
I was like, oh.
I get it.
It's deep. It was when she, and again, kudos to Sister Soldier, because the way she's laying this out, Sister Soldier herself is depicted as this very preachy, woman that's like, oh, nobody wants to hear this all the goddamn time. But she is laying this out in this book in a way that it's very digestible. The stuff is there. It's sprinkled in, but it's not preachy. It's like, hopefully the average reader gets it. Now, when you're reading at 14, 15, you probably don't get it.
No.
But at 30 plus, you're like, oh, this is hitting a little different. So that part, I just wanted to bring that up because that really stood out.
It's very important. Very important.
Yeah. What about you? Was there a theme?
Oh, I didn't really have a theme. I just want to talk about how this lady I mean, not this lady, Sterling. Sterling and this goddamn 17-year-old girl. So
How old is Sterling? I don't remember.
I think Sterling was like 22 or something like that. He was early 20s is what Sterling was. But you painting the picture, you trying to paint this whole picture that this girl is your relative. Meanwhile, you are having sex with her. And she is underage. And you don't have no problem using that to your advantage in this particular situation. But you will still have sex with this underage girl. It's just fucking disgusting to me. That was it.
That's not new. I mean, I think it's so interesting how
it's gross.
I look back on some of the relationships that I had that were inappropriate. And some of it was like, wait. And I wasn't having sex that early and things like that, but it was just relationships that like I knew that if I was, they absolutely would have absolutely slept with me at 15, 16, like easily. These
Which is
are
gross.
24, 25, 26-year-old men would have easily done it.
And it's nasty. However, it adds another element when you will do that and then you turn around and be like, I'm going to use this to my advantage when it's time for it. I'm going to call you little girl when it works for me. What? You don't feel no
and look like
that?
A hero in front of the lady that I'm cheating on.
That's fucking crazy.
With you.
So that was what I wanted to bring up.
I also thought Sterling, she has so much disgust and hatred towards Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
And like she even said, like, I smiled sweetly thinking to myself, hey, idiot, I haven't been here since I got here, meaning like emotionally. And but I can't believe how dumb Sterling is. He sickens me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes on to why he sickens her. He wears tight briefs, not boxers, yada, yada, yada. He's lazy, all this stuff. And it's all the things I really just think it's just everything that sickens her about him is a reflection of her, because she knows as much as she looks down on him, she needs him and he is her lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
And she hates it.
Mm-hmm.
She hates it because he's still the person. And then we learned later on in that chapter that was keeping her alive, keeping her off the street.
Keeping her from getting snatched up from CPS.
Yeah, and he does something for her ego. You're not going to tell me that you sit there and put somebody down that much and it doesn't do anything for your ego.
She puts him down while she's driving his car. She puts the car down while she's driving it. But is it getting on four wheels better than two wheels? Is it getting you from point A to point B? But she doesn't have that mentality.
No.
But she has to put people down. Winter has to feel higher than everybody else. That's why she was getting ready to go rent a damn limo just because she heard that Natalie's gonna show up in a Land Rover and that she's dealing with a nigga who got a little something about himself. So she's like, it doesn't matter that I'm literally down to $3,000 and have no clue how I'm going to make more money or where I'm going to go. And at this point, it's evident there's no more cash coming in. But I still got to stunt. So I'm going to get this limo.
Yeah, they live for the now. There is no future.
Which also speaks to the age. Because, I mean, at that age...
Speaks to the age. It speaks to the mentality, too.
Speaks to the mentality.
It's not like her mom and her aunts feel any different.
Yeah, no, because her mother acts exactly the same. And her aunts are low-key trifling. And then, that's another thing. The relationship that her mother has with her aunts it doesn't feel like a familiar, like safe
no
environment.
There's no safe. There's no relationships within this book that are safe, that are relationships that are even healthy, that foster any sort of accountability and growth. No. There's no especially emotionally safe relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of one. Like, she's got her homegirls. They're not really her friends. They don't really care about each other deeply.
No.
So it's all very shallow. It's all very surface. And everybody seems to be existing within, like, this shell of themselves where they're not fully occupying who they are and what the possibilities of them could be. I also thought that the willful ignorance was really interesting on Mama's part. Not interesting, but... I think that is something that a lot of women either have witnessed or experienced. And willful ignorance with her is just, it was just throughout the entire book, whether it be, you know, what Santiago's really doing. Like your husband comes home with bodies on him and you just choose to ignore it. But also the way that she's like just going to act like that child is not his, like he's not cheating on her, like she didn't take a bullet to the face for that man and for him to have a whole other family. And he's taking care of that lady. Oh, Winter looked at that girl and knew. It was clear.
Child, she knew from the fashions down to the how the baby looked, and then it like she knew before she ever saw the bracelet.
She knew. As soon as the woman stood up, she knew. And I just, I hate to say it.
I felt sorry for her mother in this moment, actually.
I do too. I have sympathy for her. I have sympathy for her because I've been her, not with like a drug dealer, but being young and just being like, no, that can't be it. No, I'm going to believe what he just told me. And like, girl, you knew. But like, it's like, no, not until I have to know, do I know. Right.
It's very willful ignorance, which is, it's really sad that, and I also felt bad for her in the sense where I know she's not feeling great about herself. And because that's such a priority to her, I know she's not feeling amazing about herself. And she had to put herself on this pedestal just to kind of put one foot in front of the other in that moment. Yeah. Because I know she was feeling like shit.
Of course. And the thing about it too is that, you know, they always say when a woman cuts her hair, she's ready to change her life. And
change her life.
That's for better or good. That's for better or worse. So we don't know what's going to happen with Mama. Mama sounds like she headed to the Crackville a little bit, that she's not well. I don't even remember.
I'm going to be honest with you. So when she was out at that hour in the morning, I absolutely think that she had been using.
Oh, same.
She had been using. However, I don't think that's the first time she had been using.
Oh, wow.
I don't. I don't think it went far beyond this, like previous to this, but I don't think that's the first time in this realm of what's going on that she's used, because her behavior just started changing a little bit more and more. And although she's had a lot of traumatic things happen to her, the way Winter was looking at her on the train, the way she was I know she came out in what she could get, right? She wanted to go see her man, but something about it was a little off. And I don't think that time that Winter saw her was the first time her mother had smoked rock.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
I know. I felt really bad.
Well, we'll
like
see.
This lady's real.
I know. But that's the thing. Ugh. It's like, I want to say poor woman, but it's also like, God, you made such poor decisions, but also like you were a baby when you made them. And then she never knew to make better decisions. She was 14 when she had her first baby.
And look at her sisters. Like, they're all the same, which means they were raised this way. That means this is where they come from. This is who they are.
Yeah. And I think to recognize what Santiago has done in terms of the betrayal of their relationship will force her to recognize things within herself that she's not ready to do. And it will also cut off her lifeline. Santiago is still, even in prison, still her lifeline.
Still she lives for that man.
Well, but also like she's hoping, praying, and wishing that he's going to take care of all of this somehow. She doesn't have a way to do it. She lies
to Portia and tells her that they're going to have a big old welcome party and everybody's coming home soon.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Broke my heart.
She has not had any kind of plan. She hasn't, like, at least the very least, Winter is trying to come up with, her plans are stupid, but she's trying to come up with something, because she's not under the illusion that like Santiago's going to just fix it. Like she's like, okay, he prepared us for this. We got to jump in now. And Mama's just like, your dad's got it. He's going to save us. Our savior. It's like, I don't think so, sis. But the last thing that came up for me, because I love me some Midnight. But I'm also like, Midnight is an asshole. Like,
yes, he is.
And I know Winter is really annoying, and she's an asshole. But like, does that mean that it's okay to, like, the way he talks to her? Like, could he actually put her on to game in a way? Would she even hear it, though? That's the thing. Like, does he talk to her like that because she wouldn't even hear it otherwise? Or I sometimes think because she's attracted to him, she could slow down possibly and hear what he's saying. But also he just chooses to just deliver it in a way. And I in my mind, I'm like, I am so clear that the Midnight is capable of a different delivery. He's giving us a Kevin Samuels delivery instead of like a loving, like, hey, this is what.
No, because I think, listen, I think Midnight is a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And he delivers things in that way because that's how I know. That's how I know a lot of the men that I grew up to be, right? There's harsh
That you grew up
deliveries.
to be?
Grew up with. I'm sorry.
I said I have been using the wrong pronouns. King.
My bad. You're right. My fault. Not trying to disparage anybody in the community.
Oh, stop.
But a lot of the men that I know this is how they speak. Now, does that make it right? Does that mean that we shouldn't change some of these patterns and habits within society? We got to speak love into one another, of course. So it's not right that he speaks to her in this way. I also have a little nigga in me where I too would probably talk to Winter in this way. But then as I'm reading it, I'm like, you ain't got to do her like that. Like, she didn't approach you that way. You don't have to come at her out the gate like that. You know what I'm saying? I also understand the complete frustration of, bitch, I never wanted to end up in fucking jail again. And I end up in jail because you was doing some dumbass shit.
Yeah. Yes.
I get that side of things.
Yes. Me too. I get that. I get
Problematic
that too.
as it may be.
I get that
You know
too.
what I'm saying?
But I think I examined things within me of when I I was like on the cheese bus reading this in the 8th grade. And I thought Midnight was the dopest man around, that he was like, wow. And now I'm sitting here reading this thinking, if anybody ever spoke to me like that, I would curse them out. Like, who? And so it just showed me
it's not right. It's not respectful. But it showed me
how immature young women can misinterpret things as care and love. And like when it's actually abuse. It's actually toxic and unhealthy.
It is.
But we're like, no,
I shouldn't talk to nobody like that. Agreed. Right. So we shouldn't. I'm not normalizing it by saying that. I figured out where it came from. I was like, okay. And I had to be honest with myself. I said, yeah, I would definitely talk to Winter like this in a situation like this, especially if she put my ass in jail. And I said I didn't want to be in jail.
Yeah.
He's
always like that with her, though.
Exactly. This is not the first time he's spoken to her like this.
Yeah, I think that the way that Winter feels about Sterling, there's a bit of him that feels that way about Winter, of like, you disgust me. You disgust me, and you'll get me caught up.
I think he's more like, he's just like grossly disappointed by her.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it comes across as to me.
It's just like, I want, because he still tried to help. He still was like, take this business card and try. There's a brain in there. Find it and get it together, child.
He cares about it, but he just, A, he don't know how to talk. And B, he's grossly disappointed by her actions and her choices because he knows that she's smarter than that.
Yeah. Or could be.
Or could be smart. There we go. Could be, because the actions are not aligning with, you're right. Let's use the proper verbiage. But that's chapter 7 and 8. We're now seeing that things are about to start getting a little bit more realistic and rough for the family. And so we're going to come back with chapters 9 and 10 and really, like, I think we're about to get into a turn of things for Winter and for her mother.
Yes, 9 and 10.
9 and 10
coming up. That's the halfway point. And then we're also working on some sort of virtual interaction, so we can talk about all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and see what you all think. Let's recap.
And
let's talk.
We will be announcing that soon. So it'll be something light, but a virtual space where we can interact as a book club.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that. And we will see you all in 2 weeks. Make sure you get your next 2 chapters in. And thank you for joining us. Thank you to Crown Royal as always. And you have anything, Antoinette, to take us out with?
No. Stay warm because it's a cold winter. Winter is coming.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I'm
Bye.
rewatching Game of Thrones. Bye.